on the planet right now, rather than listening to a financial report. So I promise I'm going to try to make it as painless as possible and maybe even a little bit interesting. If you had a chance to look at your annual report yet, you'll read that our financial picture has been a series of ups and downs this past year. Much of that has been driven by circumstances beyond our control, like falling interest rates and the falling value of the U.S. dollar. And some of it has been the result of decisions that were made when budgeting or by implementing some changes and some unanticipated changes. Let's take a look at this year's income, expenses, and year-end forecast, and I'll explain. Beginning with the income, the first thing to point out is that the 2009 to 2011 budget that was approved in Vilnius was balanced by authorizing, for lack of a better way of stating it, a $25,725 draw from reserves if necessary. That's the bad news. I'm going to show you now how we plan to manage our budget so that it won't be necessary to draw from the reserves. That's the good news. First, take a look at advertising. We are well ahead of budget due to our first Vice President's diligence in securing, renewing, and even upping the advertising. We've also been successful in identifying and collecting on some outstanding accounts. Under conference surplus, we were pleasantly surprised when we received notification of €8,423 or $12,216 as a conference surplus from Vilnius. We have special thanks to go out to Angelica McLaren and Sharon Lahaki for making this possible. Going down to the ERF, or the Emergency Relief Fund. Everything that comes into emergency relief under income goes out under expenses. So none of this is money that we can spend for anything other than emergency relief. But you should note here that we have two different campaigns going on, or we had two different campaigns to report on. One was the carryover of support for the Community Alliance of Beijing, following the earthquake in China, where through your generous contribution, FAWCO made a donation of $6,825 in November before we officially closed that program. The ERF for Haiti was initiated in January, and I'm pleased to report that year to date, we have actually contributed